What's good, y'all? This is the Trappin With Gods podcast. I'm Angela with the goods.
What's up? I'm your girl, Coach K. What's happening?
What's up? We want to start by giving gratitude. First of all, we always like to do that. Thank y'all for listening. Thank y'all for being here. And it's a special day because we have it's always a special day, but it's an even more special day because we have a guest, our first guest.
Yes.
Today. I know them. I've known them for over a decade. We used to live together. And I say them, but their pronouns is she. Okay, don't get it twisted. Am I still correct?
I use she, they.
Okay.
So it's cool.
I'm like, we some old school folks. But
I know I am.
Yeah,
I'm glad you got that straight.
What?
With me, because you know me, I'm old.
So yeah, Jalayna Muhammad, also known.
Full government. Hey, why I get my full government and y'all like this is Ed, this Coach K.
But I'm gonna say Breeze, Jabriz, and Keisha has met Breezy.
Yes.
Once before, but me and Jalayna, we go way back. So this is one of my dear homies and our first guest, and we're so glad that you're here with us, and we can't wait for this conversation because it's gonna be great.
Thank you.
Whatever we about to be talking about.
Oh, we about to vibe for sure.
Yeah.
Jalayna energy. First of all, I love your energy. That's what I love. Yeah.
I appreciate that. I received that. Thank you.
That's what I'm talking about. I'm learning how to receive too. Sometimes people give me compliments and I don't know how to take in goodness, like positivity. So
100.
You teaching me.
Do you?
Nah, I feel that. I'm not good with that either.
Okay.
Like that's something I had to work on is receiving. And I think, it's a challenge for more people than they admit or talk about, because it makes me feel like, even now it still makes me feel a little awkward.
Yeah.
But I'm just learning to just be like, thank you, or show gratitude, or just like I received that.
Absolutely.
So, work through the discomfort.
That was gonna be my question.
That.
Like, do you feel comfortable taking compliments and stuff like that? Because, like you said, a lot of people they struggle at that, or maybe they don't even think about that.
Mm-hmm.
It's just an automatic, oh, stop, and not even recognizing, like, dang, I can't even let somebody tell me I look good. You know what I'm saying?
Actually, I do struggle with compliments too, but as in receiving everything else, I'm still learning to just be like, thank you, and not always come back with, oh, you look good too, because I think sometimes it's so natural just to say it back to somebody, and it's really just kind of like uncomfortable sometimes, a bit like being uncomfortable or feeling like you have to give it too. Yeah. But sometimes it's like, why can't we just receive it and just be like, thank you, I appreciate it. But I will say, I do think oftentimes people do look for you to say it back to them.
That shit's real, what you just said. I do.
No, I was just about to say, not like I'm insincere, but like I've had sometimes, like, somebody be like, you look so good, I be like, I do too, and I'm like, that's I feel like I should say that back to them, like, or I would say thank you, of course, but still I would be like, oh, you do too, or I'm like, not saying that they don't, but it wasn't nothing that pulled me to say that to them.
Yeah.
Other than them saying it to me,
Yeah.
Okay, so like you said, you expected back, but like, what if they don't really?
But like you said, settling in that. Understand. See, I'm trying to understand me more, Jalayna.
Right.
That's what every day now. Like, I was, before you got here, it was Angela be good with taking like these damn candid ass shots of me, and sometimes when she posts them, I be like, why you did that? So it was a picture she posted of me, and honestly at the time I wasn't thinking about nothing, Jalayna. I wasn't thinking about how I looked. I wasn't thinking about nothing. I was just enjoying the breeze on me. And she posted that on our Instagram, and when I looked at it, the first thing I started to do was get negative. I started to analyze myself, like, man, like, yeah, look at your teeth, look at how fat you look and all this. And then I had to stop. I was like, whoa, why are you doing that to yourself? So, like, the question you asked, like, why are you looking to even get something back from somebody? That's where I am in my life. Like, really trying to be more aware of, like, why I'm the way I'm, why am I like this?
Right.
And trying to work through, like you said, that discomfort. Like, that's just where I am right now. So I do have to ask myself, I do shit, but then I stop myself. I'm like, why are you doing that? Why are you looking for something back?
Right.
Like, where's that coming from?
But I think the beautiful thing about that is at least you're self-aware. At least you can, like, catch yourself. Like but I mean, but that's the thing. Like, you still got to give yourself credit for where you are.
Yeah.
And at least right now, you're in a space where you can analyze and be like, why do I feel that way?
Yeah.
Like, what's triggering me? Like, what's making me feel that way or causing that? And that takes a lot and maturity because people struggle with self-reflection. And I do it myself. So now, like, you know, I'll see things and look at, like, I don't like photos. I don't feel like I'm photogenic, and I will, like, critique the hell out of the photo, but I'm trying to, like, switch things up and not necessarily say that, but be more gentle with myself and speak kind words to myself instead of like focusing on all of those things that I don't like or don't care
that
for.
sounds like something we talked about in a previous episode or just in general about the thoughts that you think. Like, I was in meditation one time. I remember I was talking about this. I was in meditation and just all my thoughts was like, when I started recognizing what I was thinking, it was like all negative things, like, oh, I don't like my body, or I don't have enough money, and all these, they were just all bad. It wasn't like anything that was positive, like, you know. And to me that just sounds like what you're saying, like, being more mindful about what you're thinking about yourself in your life too.
Yeah, absolutely.
But you know, I think we have to always remember it's a process. Like, we grow, we change. We have to, you know, be mindful and gentle with ourselves. Like, we're constantly growing and changing, and we got to make space for that growth.
I love that shit.
So,
we got to always be mindful. It's a process.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
It's like healing. You know, people think, oh, I did this, I'm going to therapy, I'm going to be great. But no, like, healing is ongoing. Because even if you work on that one thing and you find ways to tackle that one thing, something may happen that trigger you in a different way. So how do you know?
Absolutely. Life, man.
Yeah.
You don't know what life gonna bring to you. You don't know. That's the unknown. We talk about that.
Yeah, come on now.
And being present is being in the presence of God. And speaking of God, and what you mentioned about, you know, compliment me on being self-aware, like, you sound like you really woke. Like, I was paying attention to that when you said that. So when did you do you remember when you became, like, you started that journey to where you started really paying attention to like what was going on in your head? I call it woke.
It's funny because I don't consider myself let me just say, I don't really label myself, period. Like, because I just feel like it comes with a lot of expectation. But that's another topic.
Yeah.
But I will say, like, it's been a journey. Who I am today is not who I was at 18. Is not who I was at 30. Like, I've been at different phases, but I can look back and reflect and see my growth in different areas. And so I think it's just been an ongoing process. I think part of that, not a part, I think, but it also is even, like, now I'm more mindful of even who I allow into my space. And I mean, even my home and into, like, the friendships that I have, because friendships have to look a certain way. Like, I want to be held accountable in friendships. And so it's just a way that, like, learning about myself, removing myself from different spaces, spending time with myself, analyzing myself, even in past relationships, analyzing, like, what did I do wrong or what could I have done different? Because I feel like all of life experiences are moments of growth. Absolutely. And so just taking those moments, receiving that feedback, but really just doing self-reflection and mindfulness has helped to get me to where I am. Is there, still, do I still have challenges and still opportunities to do better? Yeah. But even a way that I speak to myself, just trying to be more mindful, even with the language that I use. And so, yeah.
That's where I'm at. She hit me right there with that language.
Trapna. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Go, you got something?
I'm just so happy. Like, it's just such a great. Like, I just was thinking about Breeze. Like, is one of my trap partners actually? Damn, it just hadn't never been put out there as really being like very intentional about it. It just always flows with us. Like, we be on the phone for hours too sometimes, and it just, and I'm like, oh, and I always say, well, since I've been we've been doing this podcast, I'm like, everybody need a person in their life to be able to have these conversations. Like you said, friendship, being held accountable. And what does that look like? People that's going to help you move through things and thoughts that aren't serving you, or even the good times, to be there to celebrate with you and stuff like that.
But I do want to say this, though. I agree with you. But I think we all still need them turn up friends too, because sometimes
when you say turn up, what you mean, like they bout it, or like
whatever that looks like for you. So I'm not gonna say what it looked like, but I'm just saying, because like I think sometimes people feel like, oh, I want to be here, let me forget there, and they forget the challenges or the struggles or the things they came from, and it's not to say like, yo, you need to keep that, because like I said, people grow and we change. So it's not to say like you need to keep the, whatever the hood shit or whatever it was.
Yeah.
Go ahead, girl. Yeah. It's not saying like you need to keep those things, but it's like, be mindful of what you came from. And sometimes you might have those friends that may be a little, we'll just say cultured or hood.
Yeah.
And then you have those friends that might be your clubbing buddies. Like, yo, you know when to go with them, have a good time if that's what you feeling like. Yeah. And then you have those that may be all in one, or that, they nourish you in a certain way. But I think a lot of times people like feel like everybody need to be everything. And sometimes that's not possible. You got to know what people can hold. And also be mindful, like, not to constantly dump on people. Like, it's reciprocity. You got to keep that.
Absolutely.
So just like what I always say, it's like a bank account. If I'm constantly withdrawing, then what's going to happen? Yeah. You're going to go into the negative. So you got to replenish just back as much as you take.
You know what I'm thinking about. You know that fill your cup. Mm-hmm. That's what I constantly was like, you got to fill your cup though. Because how are you going to give to someone and you don't have nothing, don't have nothing to give. So you got to be mindful of that. I agree with that. And anybody in your life, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Oh, no.
Anybody in your life, they in your life for a reason. You attracted them there. So, to being mindful of, like, I think a lot of times we can't see how we are reflecting that person. You know what I mean? But it's definitely there. You take the opportunity and you learn from that person. Don't judge a book by its cover. Meeting that person where they are, it's definitely something to be seen. So I agree with you on that. Most definitely.
That's true. You said a word too. Like,
who,
attractive people. Yeah. Like, who you attract, because how many times have you heard somebody be like, yo, they keep getting in bad relationships or bad situations, and sometimes you got to analyze and be like, damn, what am I doing? What am I putting out? Why is it? What am I allowing to enter into my life?
Absolutely.
Or what am I missing that I want somebody to feel this?
Absolutely.
So,
yeah.
I can't believe you said you not woke, Jalayna.
Well,
I didn't say I'm not woke. I just said it's not really a term.
Yeah, for sure. What, you would look like you over there thinking.
Because I'm like, the word woke, I'm not really a fan of that word. Like, I feel like it's like, because, like, are we ever truly woke?
Whoa.
And I think that, but the not being a fan could go because of, like, what I feel like society and our culture says that woke is like, it goes way deeper than that, than what the word, what people say, like, this person woke. It's like it's on surface type shit.
Yeah.
But that's just what I think.
I think I wholeheartedly agree with you. And what came up for me was everything is a matter of perspective.
Mm-hmm.
That's just my opinion. Like, so let me break. When I say woke, and I respect it, y'all. When I say woke, I'm like, do you really truly know who you are?
Mm-hmm.
That's what I mean when I say woke. Like, okay, at the end of the day, I'm none of this shit. Like, it don't matter what kind of car I drive. It don't matter what kind of house I stay in. Whatever. Like, at the core of your being, like who you truly are, your true light. Do you really know who you are? That's what I mean. But I love the fact that y'all both said that, like, hey, for y'all, I wouldn't necessarily call it being woke. You know what I mean? Somebody might just be call it something else. And I respect that. I think that's what it takes for us to really have conversations with one another.
Yeah.
Is we listen. Because, my old self, I always say Keisha. I hope I don't be confusing you, Breeze, when I say very spiritually. And that's what this is, more of like a spiritual platform. We don't really do a lot of religious type of things when we come to talk. Cause what we about here is truth. That's just straight up. That could come. Your truth
is.
Yes, right. Your truth could be one thing. Your truth could be something else. But at the end of the day, we really are just saying the same thing. Like, that's what I look to hear for. You know what I mean? And for me, that's just, you may not even call it God. I call it God. You could call it whatever. But I'm listening to, like, okay, yeah, they know something. Like, they know something. You know what I mean? I don't know if that made sense.
I got a question, just out of curiosity. What is your spiritual practice? Or do you have one, or do you practice religion? Like, both of y'all.
I love that question. You want me to go first? I will say, for me, how I grew up, Breeze, was I will say traditional Christianity. That's my background. I practiced that up until, I will say, I'm 38. I started my spiritual journey at 38. What I mean by that is I started to take the veil off, and I stepped outside of what I know, like Christianity, and I started studying different stuff. And that's how I truly came to, it's crazy, we was just talking about this before you came in, how I came to know God for myself. So I don't go to church and look to hear a word for somebody to tell me who God is. Like, I've experienced God for myself, and I know God for me. So when you say, like, my religious practices, I don't really know. Like, I'm kind of like with Angela, because you say that a lot. You say, I don't really know if I would label myself, and you mention labels. Like, I don't know if I would really label myself as anything right now. I know I have an understanding of spirituality for myself, but as far as, like, labeling myself, like, to be a Christian now, or, I don't know yet. I'm still on that. I'm still trying to figure that out.
That's okay.
Yeah.
And if you never know, or
and that's
never
okay
choose
too.
to, that's okay.
Yeah.
Sure.
I'm with her. But I didn't really grow up in the church, so my spiritual practice would be like yoga, meditation, and trapping. You know what I'm saying? Having conversations with y'all. Prayer. Sometimes I pray more than I feel like I have in the past. But that's it, really. Like,
yeah.
I think you were saying this is trying to, or just learning to have how to have a relationship with God. Just in that process, I guess. Yeah.
What about for you?
So I'm definitely not a religious person.
Yeah.
I don't practice a particular religion. I'm more spiritual, and I have my own relationship with God. I do pray sometimes, do meditate, and yeah, I just feel like it's a different connection with my connection with God, universe, ancestors.
Yes.
And so I think I see different signs in different ways that they're present in my life, and sometimes there may be like metaphorical things or symbolism or like things that'll come or that'll happen that I do look up like the spiritual meaning of those, especially when I'm seeing like this thing is constantly happening or constantly showing up in my space, and it's like, okay, what am I to receive from this, or what is it trying to tell me? And so I will like research those things. But I am also open, like I don't mind going to church sometimes, because I feel like, sometimes there's a message to receive in that as well. And so, yeah.
How has it, like, was it growing up? Because I know you were raised Muslim, right?
Yes and no.
Okay.
So, like I went to a Muslim grade school, and my parents are Muslim, but when they got divorced, my mom, she didn't practice as much, but she left it open for us to explore religion.
I love that.
And so I would go to church with my cousins sometimes. And so that's pretty much how like I became open to like receiving religion and God in different ways and different forms. Even though that's not something she said, my mother said or spoke of, it's the platform she created for me to like grow from.
Your dad, is he practice still?
Yeah, he does.
What is like, so you have some knowledge about what is Muslim, like the Quran? Is that what?
Mm-hmm.
Do you have like knowledge or like what are those differences between like the Bible and okay? I was just okay.
Yeah, Goods was trying to go deep.
She was like, I can't be quoting those scriptures.
Breeze was like, come back
and get somebody else in it. Nah, that ain't my ministry.
It looks like, where you going with this?
I saw her. She was like, come back.
We
now,
like,
hold on.
Control Delete.
I love that though. I love that. You got some curiosity surrounding Muslim practices and things.
No,
like that?
I just we always talk about like just knowing about other religions, and we like me and Keisha. It's safe to say I feel like we like it all goes back to the same thing.
I feel
you know
like,
what I'm
yes.
saying? So, but I was just curious because when you have those different, like, I might know a few things from like the Buddhist teachings, very, very little, and then be able to say, okay, this is like whatever little I know about the Bible, and so I was just wondering about the other like things I definitely haven't like looked into. So,
yeah, I think what you were saying is first of all, to go back to what you were saying, Breeze, like about the church and just all of it, I don't knock any of it either. Like my dad has a saying that I have come to adopt, and I believe it because I like you said, signs and different things of that nature. I see, I hear, I feel. When somebody speak the truth, you just know it. Like it just hits you somewhere. You be like, dang, they really that's that shit that like you sit here talking. I'm like, oh man, she talking real. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I could go to the church. I could go, somewhere as long as I'm hearing it. I feel it. I know. I'm like that's real truth, like and that's kind of like what, but you can also hear stuff when you like it's a lie, like you just I mean we were talking about, I don't know, we want to get that deep onto the I don't know if we want to get that deep into, we were talking about prior to you coming was just homosexuality in the church and just a lot of stuff like that. I feel like traditional
come on now, churches.
Traditional. I love this word dogma that's going around. It's like these creeds and stuff that have been given into us and we buy into. But that was one of the things, like, I was at a church one time, and I won't do all that naming. It ain't even necessary. But when he was like, oh, at this church, we recognize only marriage between a man and a woman. And it like, my body, like, I felt a negative, like a jolt when he said it. And I was like, at the time I didn't understand it, but now that I'm going through life and kind of getting to understand it for myself, I'm like, oh, that's your personal beliefs. Like for me and my understanding of God don't even look at those kind of things. That's just for me. So yeah, I don't even know where I was going with that. But the universe, like you were saying, is truths in all of it.
Mm-hmm.
You were saying that before, like how Muslim religion, Christianity, Buddhism, all that stuff. It's like really one universal truth, and that's just God. God at the core of all of it. Yeah. So yeah.
And before you came, we was talking about we stand on the topic of religion. We were talking about like Christianity and Jesus, and I was telling her like, what she was saying about like right now about like gay folks or whatever, and I was saying like in the past, my apprehension of being like I can say now like, yeah, Jesus is my homie, my brother, all of that, and I think the resistance that I would have into like, talking about Jesus or whatever would be around gay people, because it's like, oh nah, but it's not Jesus, it's Christianity. You know what I'm saying? Like Jesus wasn't saying like, just not to be all like Jesus, y'all. I don't have to disclaim that.
We have to always bring it back.
But just conversation. But like Jesus wasn't going around like Christianity, this and this. He was actually I have friends that used to be like, Jesus was a rebel. Like nigga was like fucking doing all this stuff. Like he was like, forget y'all Sabbath or whatever, Shabbat or whatever. It's like, I'm about to heal this person. You know what I'm saying? Like there were all these rules, and he was bringing his homies with him doing this stuff against the laws and all of that, which is why he was crucified, which, whatever. So
which plenty of people getting crucified. I mean, it's
but
then canceled. I guess they call it canceled now. I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
But anyway, whatever. We getting all, girl, we going deep.
Yeah, because we would talk about religion. We talk about, she was talking about the churches, she the body.
Mm-hmm. Like, oh yeah, I did, yeah, and I'm not opposed to it. Like Breeze was saying, like I don't want nobody to think I'm up here like, oh, she talking bad against the church. Well, I'm not talking bad against the church, but the church, in my opinion, the church is me. The church is not this building I'm going to get God or something. The church is me. The church starts with me. The church is Angela. The church is you, Breeze. And you know what I mean? That's just me. You know how I think about it.
Right.
Yeah, now.
But go ahead.
Oh, go ahead.
No.
No, we want to hear from you.
But
Breeze.
at what point did that become your way of thinking? Like, did you grow up in the church?
Great question.
Yes, I did. Yeah. I really did. And girl, you gonna take all right now, Breeze. I get to talking. Really, when I got married. I don't know if you watched any of our previous episodes, but I talk a lot about where, me selling my house, quit my job. But really what made me start to really search and for understanding for myself was when I got married. Because my life was miserable. I was miserable. And I couldn't understand why. Like I had been going for so long thinking if I get married, like this will just... Like I grew up, I went to school like I was told, I got the degree, I had the house, my daughter's father, I thought we were going to get married, that didn't work, and it's like it sent my life on a trajectory that I just cannot even explain, but ended up, well, we don't have time to talk about right now, but ended up in a marriage, which I thought was like, this is it, like my life is just going to be amazing, and then when I got married, girl, it was like hell. It was hell on wheels. And so I was just like, something ain't right. Like, this ain't the God that I've been told about. Like, why is my life like this? And so that's when I started really reading and searching, and more things started to be revealed to me and came into my life. And it was like a light bulb shut on. And then I was like, oh, this ain't none of me. Like I've been on a program. Like I can create. I can do whatever I want to do. Like, you know what I mean. I don't have to be married. None of that. Like, so that's when I started to break those chains. So
I love that.
Yeah.
And I'm glad you found you.
You found you.
I
Not
found
the
me.
light bulb shut on.
I
Did
went-
it shut
It,
on?
it cut the light bulb shut on. Yeah, she trying to talk. I am country.
Yes.
I'm country. It shut on. Damn, Breeze wasn't saying that. It shut on. It cut on. It flipped on.
I
Breeze
love
knew what I was
Mind
talking
you, they
about.
from the same place.
Thank you,
I
Breeze.
knew what she was
Thank
saying.
you. Damn, you see how I feel? Golly. Anyway,
But
so
not
yeah.
something that you said, you mentioned ancestors too. And I have been asking Keisha lately, like, what about ancestors? Because we be trapping, but it's things that we don't talk about, and it's levels to the shit. So like ancestors, like I'll be asking her, like, what do you think about ancestors? Because I feel like my grandmother, my mom's mom, sure, all of my ancestors, but specifically, and my dad's mom just transitioned last February. But my grandmother and my dad, like those two, and y'all know this because I talk to y'all. I see these red birds all the time, and there are always two of them together. And I'm like, that's them. But specifically, my grandmother, I feel her presence. Sometimes I just feel like she's with me. Like, I just know that she's there. But I don't do anything specifically around, like, connected to my ancestors or even talking to them.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have a practice or something like that that you like specifically intentionally like do to connect with your ancestors? But besides, like you said, I know you say you see certain things and all of that.
Mm-hmm.
Like I was talking about the birds.
In the morning when I give thanks and honor to them as well. Or even if it's throughout the day, I'll acknowledge, ancestors as well.
Mm-hmm.
I do believe that I stand on the shoulder of my ancestors. I believe because of them I am.
Mm-hmm.
Even if I didn't like necessarily know them or have relationships with them, I think we're all, connected. And so
Did they guide you?
Absolutely. I believe they guide me. I believe they protect me. I believe,
That's what's up.
for sure.
Ooh,
That's what's up.
I
Like,
felt that.
so would ancestors be different than angels?
I mean, I personally believe they're still your ancestors because who are you identifying as an angel? Those who have transitioned, which they transitioned to to become an ancestor. So essentially, yes.
So they're like angels.
Yeah.
Have you thought about it?
Absolutely. She's saying she's actually hitting me somewhere because I have I wouldn't even call her a psychic, but it's this lady, like I go to her for readings sometimes. And when I was married in the house, my previous house that I sold, she kept saying like it's two older people there in your house, like it's an older man and an older woman. And I couldn't understand. I was like, what is she talking about? And she kept asking me, like, did somebody live there before you? I didn't know anything about the house. But now that we having a discussion, and since that time, like, I believe that was my grandmother, my grandfather, you know what I mean, in the house. Especially with what was transpiring in my marriage. A lot of what I know to be my past with my grandfather and my grandmother, their relationship was very toxic. And it reminded me a lot of, and I'm like, they probably were there, like watching over me and my daughter and even my ex-husband, you know what I mean? So I believe that. I believe in everything that she's saying.
But
that scares me.
You think, why it's scary?
It's kind of scary that I don't want to know that somebody's sitting right on
Like
that
good
corner
energy.
right
But
there.
let me tell you,
Even
never
good
know.
or
Yeah,
I'm gonna tell you this.
But I do think that they are around y'all. But just to like somebody to tell me that, and like then like our ancestors, like they could be in here right now. They chilling with us.
But
But if somebody was like, oh,
scary,
they in the corner right there, or somebody's standing over you, and I'm like, I don't know. That's just,
But see, but you never know, because think about it. She said she didn't know until
somebody
the psychic told her.
yeah. That's what I'm
So
saying.
Present.
you never know. Yeah. And I remember one time, like when one of my nephews was young, we were in my room and I had this clay piece that I had made. And so it was like sitting on the nightstand, and my nephew was like pointing towards that area, and he was pointing, and like I think he was like 1 year old. Wow. Or 2, and he kept, and I was like, where are you pointing at? No, he had to be maybe 2 or 3 because he was talking. But he was like, Mike, and I was like, Mike. Now mind you, I had an uncle Michael that actually transitioned before he was born.
Wow.
And I was like it freaked me out because I was like, how?
Yeah.
What?
I'm telling you, I believe.
So it's wild.
Oh.
Even like when my mother was going through her transition phase, and I remember going to the hospital, walking into the room, and when I walked in, so let me backtrack. So during that time, like not to go real deep into it, but I'll say during that time, I was praying for certain things. Like I knew that my mother was transitioning, even though I didn't want to admit it.
Yeah.
And so I had asked for certain things. I prayed for certain things, and they were happening. And so one was to meet somebody that understood what I was going through. And I remember telling her, I was like, I'm having these weird feelings, like somebody trying to come to me, but I don't really want to receive it because I'm scared. And so then this person that does not know me like that says, it's your grandmother. So let's fast forward. I walk into the room one time at the hospital. My mother was, and as soon as I walk in the door, my mother was like, no, Ma, don't leave. Her mother was walking out the room as I was walking into the room. So I think, definitely spirits are like there even when you think they're not.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, don't let me get you not. So Breeze, I don't know. Even though my background, I told you it's like traditionally Christian. So it's sometimes I can hear the Bible. Like I had these things I call my dear moments, and I don't know the words like verbatim, but I hear it. But it makes me think about Jesus and his resurrection, like when he was crucified, and he was with. He said he will always be with you. Like I will always be with you no matter what. And that's what makes me think of like when you pass on, really why death is sort of, I could be talking crazy now. See, is an illusion almost. Because you still, even though you may leave this physical body, you're still.
Yeah, your energy never dies.
Absolutely.
Like you're always.
Yeah.
It's like our this shell is like keeping us in.
Yeah.
It's keeping us.
I believe what
here.
you saying. You speaking realness for real. Yeah. Yeah.
It was interesting, but it was scary.
Yeah, scary, but somewhat kind of comforting at the same time, though.
Right.
You know what I mean? I guess I don't know. Yeah. Wow. Sorry to hear about your mom. How long she been?
She transitioned in 2006. So it's been 17 years, I think.
She's still, and she here now. She with you.
Oh, she is.
Absolutely.
All the time.
Yeah.
Like, for sure, I know.
Most definitely.
She is, and she's the main person I get, like, those little signs from. So.
That's...
But I know she...
Comforting
she
indeed
is.
was the right word. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I was talking to my mom about my grandma last night because I had a dream about her, and I usually she's the one ancestor that has come to me most in my dreams and like reoccurring, and it always be like it seems so real, like to the point where I could smell cooking.
Grandma Fanny?
Yeah. And so yeah, Grandma Fanny, shout out Grandma Fanny, shout out. And so I had a dream about her the Saturday night, and when I woke up Sunday, it wasn't until like an hour later I realized my dream, and it was like, oh shit, she was in my dream. But she like, I saw her and she was telling me, don't park behind that car right there, and like yelling down the block, telling me. I was like, I'm not. And then I walk up to her, and she was just so happy. It was like people was coming over, and she was so happy, and she was like, this my girl right here, or something like, or it was saying like, this my favorite person. And then she said something about like, we gotta write it down or something. And then I hugged her from the back, and I was just hugging her, And that interaction I had never really had in a dream before with her. Like, it's been all kind of different interactions. Like, sometimes it'd be like real chill. That was more, it was just a different, more, it was a more hype type interaction. But I love that. Like, that made that comforted me. Because we miss our people.
We do.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So
most definitely. Well, you know, we it's around that time where we about to wrap it up. But one thing that I wanted to ask is, like, what's one thing you would leave with people that are kind of still trying to discover who they really are? Like, what would be one piece of advice?
She's
that
trying
you
to go
could
deep.
you said what?
She's trying to go deep. That's a good question, though.
Because
That's
she really is. I think she has a lot. Not think. I know you have a lot to offer. Like, more than what you give yourself credit for. Like, you've blessed my life. You know, today,
you.
and I know, for real. I appreciate you coming and being our first guest. Like,
Yeah.
So what would you leave someone with that's on that journey or trying to start that journey? Or
so I'll say the first thing that came to mind is there's beauty in vulnerability, and to not be afraid to be vulnerable, and to trust your instincts, and even when you don't know, it's okay, and especially for Black women, not to feel like you always have to be strong, and sometimes strength is in releasing. And so I will say, like, personally, I no longer tell people to be strong. I tell people to take the time that they need to process and feel what they need to, because we don't give women, especially Black women, enough space to just be and be present in those emotions. And so, I would just say, really, one, take the time to self-reflect. Also know that vulnerability is not weakness. It is strength. It is connection. It is allowing yourself to really connect with those emotions and those feelings. And so, I don't know. I feel like
that.
I'm like,
I love that. The vulnerability is connection. That right there.
What I tell you? Like, when you look back at me, though,
Yeah.
you already know what I was thinking.
I already know.
Cause, oh man, shit.
Yes.
She did that.
As I say, drop the mic.
Drop the mic. She dropped the mic. Man, well, we just want to thank Breeze again for being a part of Trappin today. Y'all, we was definitely trapping with a God, and we appreciate her presence today.
Yes, thank you.
Everything about her energy, everything, all of the like tidbits and everything. So, if people are interested in following you, I don't know if you comfortable
That's
with
what I was
that.
gonna say. You got any follow, or like you want to talk about any project you got going?
I'll share my project real
Yeah.
quick. But you can follow me on Jay Noreen. It is JAY_NUREEN. So on Instagram.
Yes,
I don't really go on Facebook.
That's
so yeah.
okay. They gonna hit you on the ground then. Yeah.
Right. So connect with me.
For sure.
And then as for my project, I do have I do have a project called The Person Next to You. It centers around healing from sexual assault and violence.
Wow.
And so where I have a docuseries. It started as a documentary. Wait, how deep you want me to go in here?
The floor is yours.
Because I know y'all was wrapping up.
Nah, we do this. Yeah.
Okay.
We doing it.
So it started as so being a survivor myself, I felt compelled to do something even deeper. And so it started off as just a documentary centered around healing. So focusing less on like what happened, but more so like how do we heal from that. And so from there it turned to a project because we started doing monthly yoga meditation sessions, and then we will also do activities in that space as well. Some of them are ways to like release and then receive as well. And then we also have gone into Georgia State because we want to get into the universities speak about how sexual assault has become like a normalization on college campuses. And so we started doing work with Georgia State, and they wanted us to return, but then, COVID happened. So I am in a process, or myself, and I have a co-founder as well. So we're in a process of rebranding and getting things together, and actually releasing the docuseries. And
one time for the rebrand.
One time, man. Listen, I'm excited.
So yeah,
it's already done.
Yeah,
it's
already
done.
That.
Do that. Yeah. So y'all check her out. Check our girl out. We would love to have you back.
Anytime.
Absolutely.
I've enjoyed my time here.
Good.
Thank y'all.
Thank
I'm
you.
glad I was the first. I feel honored.
The inaugural.
Remember that.
Yes. And you know what Keisha was saying? She's like, oh, I met Jalayna. She was the only person that came and met us that day. Remember when we were all somewhere.
We got something to eat.
And she was like, Jalayna's the only one that came.
Like, I know her.
Yeah.
She was the only one. So shout out.
That's when y'all were talking about putting this together. Y'all going to get y'all equipment, and here we are. Here we are. Here y'all are. I should say.
Here we are.
Here we are.
And like I told you, here we are.
Because we were like, "You gonna be a guest?" She was like, "Yeah,
I did say that."
That's crazy.
That did happen that day. I was like,
if I could jump up, if that's not manifesting at its finest, what?
It's just things just be working out. You don't have to.
You ain't gotta do nothing.
So with that said, we don't know nothing.
And to be present is to be in the presence of God, y'all. So remember that.
And forget the how.
Absolutely.
We love y'all.
All right.
We out.
Peace.
Peace.